Introducing RenderNow, the event rendering software that transforms your vision into reality. Build trust, deliver photorealistic visuals, and accelerate your sales process.
Welcome to the RenderNow video tutorial. This is the latest tutorial as of March 2026. In this video, we're going to going over these topics right here, each category. On our dashboard or wherever you're watching the video from, you can skip through each category at the bottom section by scrubbing through each category here. So if you don't want to watch the whole thing or you just want to see a specific topic, you can just scrub through that way. Okay, so first we're going to take a look at an overview of what RenderNow is, the features, benefits, and requirements. So if we head over to EventRender.com, you can go ahead and just see some demos as well as get a free trial if you want to and just learn a little bit more there. But in general, RenderNow was created to be a simple and fast event design tool for the event industry. If we go over to the RenderNow tab here, we can see some more information. As we scroll down, we'll look at testimonials and see some examples of the different types of events and things that you can do with it. So you can do anything from indoor stuff, corporate events, outdoor stuff as well, and we'll take a look at some of that stuff as we go on. And then we'll just look here at some of the top benefits that kind of make the program stand out compared to other options. So from start to finish, you can create the renderings very quickly, and you don't really need any 3D design skills. We have a large library of 3D models and objects that you would typically see and need within events, so you don't really have to create anything. Adding logos, branding, and color is very easy to do, and you can add it to most things. Adding lighting is really nice because you can see the effects in real time, so you don't have to really wait for any rendering, and you kind of get the finished result right away. We have tons of scenery objects, so all of the different scenery vendors that are available out there, mostly for corporate events at the moment, are available within our library, and we're always adding more to that as well. Being able to drag and drop out all sorts of objects, no real render time required, so you just get the results immediately. The platform also runs on any web browser, which makes it really easy to use on most computers. You just need a decent internet connection. We also have a downloadable version of the application as well if you want that. And the ability to add in your venues, so you can either add in the venue yourself through a few different options, or we can create venues as well for you. There are also some new features added, which involve adding your own custom objects. This can be done by generating models, so you can actually create something unique to you, and you can import 3D models as well. You can also generate videos pretty quickly too, so these are some new things added. And finally, the requirements are really just any computer that has a decent internet connection is able to use the application. All right, now we're going to look at some support options to see what's available for any help as you're getting started. So from our dashboard page here, we have a number of options. There's a chat button on the bottom right side, and that's on most of the web pages you can find. We're available there from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Time on weekdays, and outside of those hours, you can send us a message as well, and we'll get right back to you. This is great if you have specific questions as you're getting started. Just get immediate answers without having to wait. Outside of that, we have some support and resources tabs over here that you can go to learn a little bit more. You can watch the full tutorial that we have right here, the video tutorial. But one of the also better options is to go to the RenderNow tab here when you're logging in, and you can go to tutorials right here. And this will open up a number of tutorials, or actually as you play as well, when you hit play, you'll have a number of tutorials here that you can watch as you're waiting for the application to load, which is a really great way to start learning the program as you're going. You can click through all these. This one's a bit old, but you can click through all these to learn the application as you're going there. And those are available here at any point. Even if you're using the application, you go to tutorials right there, and you can learn it as you go. Okay, now we'll take a quick look at how to log in and create a new account for the first time if you need to. If you already have an account, then you can just log in right away. So from the dashboard, if that's where you're at first, you can either click the login button or go to the RenderNow tab here. From here, you'll just click this play button and the application will load. Typically, it takes anywhere from 15 seconds, sometimes up to 60 seconds or so, and you can watch any of these tutorials while you wait. Once the application is loaded, you'll see this screen here. So if you already have an account, you can just enter your email and password and log in that way. To create a new account, you'll just enter in your email. here and then click Create New Account. It'll tell you if it's successful, and it will send you an email to that email to reset your password. Once you've done that, you can go back to here, enter in that email and that new password that you created, and then click Login. Okay, and once you first log in, you will not have any projects over here on the left side or folders, and you'll just have a starter project here in the project side. If you're using a trial version, you'll only be able to use a starter project. Otherwise, you can create new projects. You can duplicate projects so that you can use kind of one project as a template if you want to do that, or you can create a new blank project by going blank project. So you have a blank project option and a duplicate option. So you could just select the starter project to start out and then hit Load Selected, and from there it will load up your project. Once you're inside the scene, you're in a 3D space like this just to start, but you can modify things from here. And one thing just to note is that to save any project, it will automatically save every 4 minutes, or you can go to File and then click Save, or you can hit Alt or Command S to save as well. You'll get a little notification right there that says Saving Project. All right, now we'll take a look at our mouse and keyboard controls. So the program is best used with a mouse and keyboard. It's easiest that way, but you can also use a trackpad. So down here at the bottom left side, you can see there's a little mouse icon, and then there's a little trackpad icon. If you select the trackpad icon, you'll be able to use these controls, but by default we have the mouse icon. And so if I hover over here, you can see that double click to drag allows you to move objects. Right click and drag allows you to orbit, middle mouse and drag, pan, and then scroll, zoom to scroll. So I'll take a look at that right now. So zooming in and out with my mouse wheel, I can do that. Same thing with the trackpad. It's similar as a 2-finger swipe up and down to zoom in and out. To orbit the camera, I'm going to hold my right mouse button and orbit. And then to pan the camera, I can hold down my middle mouse button like this, or I can hold my spacebar on my keyboard and move the camera that way if I drag my left mouse button. So just always look over there to see those options. The other options that can be really helpful as well. So instead of just using your mouse all the time, it can also be very helpful to use your keyboard to do some things. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 on your keyboard are all going to be different camera views, which are helpful. And then O on your keyboard is the orbit camera. And these all put you in the default camera position. So if I hit, here's the camera views that we have here. So if I hit O on my keyboard, it's going to put me back in the center. If I hit 1 on my keyboard, it's going to take me to this free camera view. The free camera view is a little bit harder to use because you have to use your keyboard more, but you can basically move around the whole space like this, whereas the orbit camera, you can just orbit around like this. And then 2 on my keyboard is going to put me in the top camera view. 3 is going to be the front camera view. 4 is left, and 5 is right. And then I also have these 2 isometric camera views, which you can have quick buttons over here for. So I can go to the front, top, and sort of side, angled version as well. So going back to the keyboard here, we also have some other options. So moving the whole camera around like this is with the Q, W, E, A, S, D keys. So moving down is Q, moving up is E, moving forward is W, moving S is back, moving A is left, and D is right. So if you use those a lot, it can definitely help along with your mouse. It just allows you to move your camera more. And if you hold Shift, you can move everything faster. So I can scroll in faster with Shift, or I can move the camera around like this faster with Shift. Holding Shift also allows you to select multiple objects at once, or you can click and drag to select multiple objects at once like this. You can copy and paste or duplicate objects with Control C. And let's see if I'm missing anything else. You can also hold Alt to duplicate objects. So if I have a stage piece out here, if I hold Alt and drag this arrow, it duplicates objects. Otherwise, I can copy the object like that and then move the object. Okay, now we'll take a quick look at settings because these options can be pretty nice to have. So when you're in the application, you just go to the settings button here. And The default UI size, so the size of all the buttons and everything, is a bit large, which is helpful for smaller screens and laptops. But you can change that anytime to small, and that will make all of the UI a bit smaller. It's nicer when it's smaller to see everything that's in the scene, but it's nicer when it's larger for smaller screens. Right here is just some nice settings. You can toggle the start tutorial off or on if you don't want to see it anymore. This is super helpful for anyone that's using different measurements. I often need to go back between inches and feet, and when you change between inches and feet, you will get a bunch of updated measurements everywhere. So if I change this from feet to inches, now my object size is going to show inches there, and so everything updates that way. So now if I change it to meters, everything will change to meters, and so on. The default is in feet. Okay, there's also some options. By default, the focus feature is off. If you turn it on, it's a bit subtle, but once you create final renderings, you can right-click on any object and it will focus the depth of field onto that object. So when you're making final renderings, you can use that. Lighting options, these are nice for if you have a ton of lighting and a ton of objects in your scene. You can play with these off or on to help alleviate some of the, if you're getting any latency or lag or anything like that, this can help. I believe audience shadows are off by default, just to save a little bit, and then you can turn those on once you create your final rendering. And you can turn all light shadows off if you want to make a faster frame rate video or something like that. Next, you can change the trackpad and mouse input right here and turn this little toolbar off from here. And that's pretty much it for settings. That's kind of all you'll need for that. Okay, next we're going to take a quick look at some venue options. So the first option is to go to room right here. By default, we have a basic room in the scene. You can always edit this room that's already in the scene by clicking this edit button, and you can just click on different things to change it as needed. There's not too many options with the default room here or with the basic room here, but you can definitely adjust it a bit. You can change the room intensity here. So kind of just a global illumination in the room. And you can also rotate the room here and move the room as well if you want. Okay, now to create a new room, you have 3 different options. So we're going to click that new room button. And the 3 options are here. We also have some outdoor scene options, which I'll show in a minute too. The basic room allows you to do what I just showed you, which is to change a couple things within the room, but it won't necessarily allow you to add doors and a bunch of details to the room. You can enter the dimensions of the room, and you can also add a floor plan if you want to for that as well. The custom room option allows you to do quite a bit more. You can draw out the walls, you can add a floor plan and trace all the walls. It prompts you to do all of this, so it just walks you through everything. And then finally, you can add a bunch of decor and change kind of the color of everything. So you can get rooms to look pretty close to the real room if you spend a little bit of time using the custom room option. And then the third option is this pre-made room option where our team just builds the 3D model of the room for you. We just require a couple pieces of information, which we can usually find online, and then we start to build build the room. And from there, let me go back to here. You can add the room in. So I go to here. There are different room options like this, which is a pre-made room option. So once you've added the room, you have the whole room to work with, and you can adjust, again, the lighting this way and add objects to it. And if you go to the top camera view, we also usually have a floor plan in there as well. Just a quick look at another pre-made space that is outdoor scene, which is mainly used for this outdoor spot right here. And then for some more generic outdoor spaces, what you can do is go to this template tab here and go to venues, and then drag out any of these 3 options. So this is just a basic outdoor scene right here. We also have a tent option. If I drag that out, it's just going to tell me it's going to replace any room that's in there. And if I drag this out, it's going to tell me that it's going to replace that other tent. So I'll do this. Just as a note, if you have any room in the scene, so if I have a basic room like this in the scene, and I want to replace that room or delete that room, I can do one of 2 things. One is I can replace it with any other venue, so I can just drag and drop this in and it'll replace it, or I can create a new room and it'll replace this room. The other option, you could go to the top view here and just delete the room from there. And basically from there, you just have a black scene. So if you really want, you can do that. If we're in our outdoor space, another option that people might want to use is to add sort of a floor plan or a diagram to this area. And so I'll show a real quick option for that. Okay, so let's say you have uploaded a area or a space, an outdoor space. What you're going to do is upload an image of it here. And then it's going to add it into the middle of the scene like this. And you're just going to be able to scale the whole image up. And it should come in proportional as far as the aspect ratio goes. You can then rotate the whole thing 90 degrees so that it lays flat, and then put it basically just above the ground, and then scale it up as much as you want until you get to the measurement that you want. So if I go to the top camera view now, scale it down a little bit, and maybe I'm going to measure something out from here to here, and we'll say that 60 feet about is that measurement. Then you can scale that area to be what you need it to be. And that's kind of how you can create an outdoor scene like that. And you can also adjust this as needed. And then basically from there, you can start adding objects on top of that. So you could add a whole stage over here and all sorts of stuff, or just drag in a outdoor stage, or import your own stage or a custom stage or create a stage. So tons of options with that. And then if you want to see a more detailed tutorial of creating a custom room, you can use one of the walkthrough tutorials that we have as well to see more details on how to do that. So one other quick option that you might want to do is take a image of a room, so something like this. Maybe you have an image like this and you just want to sort of add objects on top of it, if you will, or in front of it. It is possible. It takes a little bit of time to get the scale and the perspective of it right, but I'll show you how to do it here. So real quick, the one thing you're going to want to do is add the image and just load it from right here, and that's going to keep the aspect ratio correct. From there, you're going to want to lock the scale so that it stays proportional, and then you're just going to scale it up quite a bit. And the key kind of to this is to know what a dimension of one of the walls is. So let's say you knew that this wall was 30 feet wide. So we're going to scale this up until that's about 30 feet. Looks like that's pretty close. Okay, so we have 30 feet there. And then from there, I'm going to place this low like this, and then eventually we need to remove the room that's already in the scene. So what I can do is move this image back, and we'll go ahead and delete this. It is going to leave us without any light in the scene. So if I go back here, we just have a black space with an image here now. And you can adjust the image as well. You might want to adjust it later to get it to look the way you want. From here, you're going to add in some objects. Let's say you want a stage right here. You can just draw in the stage. It's going to look not great at first because everything's going to be dark. It might be easier to do this from the top camera view here. So let's say we have a stage, something like this. And we will add some drape along that. And we'll make this 30 feet just to make sure that we have the right size that we wanted. So basically we're just going to keep adjusting the image until the scale looks kind of proportional. Okay, so once you've added some lights in the scene so you can see a couple things, so I just added some chandeliers up here. I'm actually going to go to the free camera view here, and this will allow me to, if I zoom out with my mouse wheel, it'll allow me to change the camera lens. And the big thing is with a image like this, we have a wide angle lens that they're using, so you want to try to match the lens. So I need to move the camera around a bunch until I sort of get everything matching. All right, so once I've played with the camera lens enough, what what I'm going to do is move the camera around. So I'm going to use the WASD keys here to move the camera and the zoom wheel to adjust the lens like this. And once I get it to be about right, again, after measuring some different things, it looks like now we have 52 feet there, and the stage is about 30 feet. What I'm going to do is save a camera view. So I'm just going to hit Save Preset, and now I have my camera saved there. So I can always come back and do that. So now from here, I can just kind of adjust everything that I need. I'm actually going to use some different lights here just to get some light in the scene. Okay, so even after a lot more adjusting with the camera, I still had to adjust a bit more once I added more objects in here. So it takes a good amount of adjusting with the camera, as well as adding in your objects and kind of moving them around. So essentially, what you're doing is you're taking some normal objects and just putting them in front of a picture, and then you're adjusting the camera to look like it's in the same camera and lensing that was in the room. So that's how you need to line it up. From there, once you start adding things around the room, everything should start looking good, but just try to get the measurements to work with each other. Now we'll look at templates. There's a few different options for templates in different categories. So you can find templates in the template button here at the top left, right next to Add Object. Templates have a backdrops category, so these options are categorized by different themes, so tech, modern, sorts of stuff like that. And all you have to do to preview these is you drag them in like this. You can kind of take a look at them. And then if you want to add in a different one, you can just drag in a different one. Or you can hit the clear template button and it'll just remove it. Once you save the project and then come back, the clear template button will no longer be there. So then you can just delete all the objects. But once you've added in a template, you can modify things with it. So let me move the room back a little bit. So I just moved the room back so that the template is sort of in this back wall area. And now if I go to here, I can click on some of the objects. So each one of these objects is an individual object. And if I want to combine things or add things to them, let's say I want to make this stage have a extra stage piece right here. So I can select all these by clicking over them and dragging them, and then I can hold Shift and select the other ones, and I can click Make Group right here. And so now these are all grouped. So I could just have that group now. So I can do that with any object. I can group those together. And it looks like these uplights are already grouped here, but if they weren't, I could just select all of them I wanted, or I could go to the top camera view maybe and select all of these and then create group. I can also open the group so that I can select individual ones. So maybe I want a different color on each one of these lights. I can just open the group and then change the color for each of these lights. Same thing with the with other objects in here. So some of them might be grouped and some of them might not. If they're not grouped, you can just create groups. In this case, there's two lighting trees, which if I select both of them, there's a number of objects within these. But if I select both of the lights on these, I can modify them. So I can change the intensity. I can aim them. I can change their shutters. So there's some options with templates there. And then I'll go ahead and remove that. Anything that was not in the template is just going to stay there, so I'll delete that. The other tab here is venues. So we looked at venues earlier, and this is going to be the space where all of your pre-made venues will be. So to create venues, you use the new room button here. But for any venues that are already created for you in your library, whether you requested them or purchased them, those would show up here. And then these are kind of drag and drop templates as well. So these outdoor scenes are also in the template section here. In addition to that, there's going to be some other smaller templates too in these categories. A lot of them are just drag and drop templates. So if we go to lighting, there's a couple templates here. So if I drag out this object, it's just a single object like this, and it gets highlighted in white. But if I drag out this object and select it, you can see it's all in green. So that's kind of a template because it's a grouped together object and it has multiple pieces in it, which I can then modify. Say if I wanted to make this smaller, I can do this, or I can adjust the height from this, and I can add another light in here. So some of these things, you could consider those templates as well. Same thing with something like this. This is a group of objects. Something like this too. Although these are not grouped together, so you can adjust them individually. And you can create your own templates if you wanted to modify, let's say, a backdrop like this. If you wanted to modify a backdrop like this, and then open it and create a new project out of it, all you would want to do is make your modifications here, and then go to Files, and then New, and then duplicate the project, and save it as a template name or something, and then you can always come back to that to use specific things from that. If you wanted to make specific objects that were templates, you could eventually do that. We were working on an option to create and save your own templates as well. Okay, next we'll look at the different ways that you can add objects to the scene. So you'll go up to the Add Objects button here, and there's a few different ways that you can add objects. So the drag and draw option is really nice if you want to quickly create a larger group of objects. So in this case, maybe a stage. Sometimes it's easier to do from a higher up view like this. If I just do that again, you can see the size of it as well. So let's say I wanted it to be about this size, then I can come over here to the control section and adjust the size to be exactly what I want. And then I can center it or put it in the back of the room. For other objects, you would just that are not in the drag and draw section up here, they're all just going to be drag and drop. So you just place them, and then you can add more by holding Alt and copying if you want to duplicate them. Similar ways of adding objects, again, you can add them from this camera view, or you can go to the top camera view like this. And if you're in the top camera view, you will see a little more options. So there will be this pop-up message here which asks if you want to separate any of these pieces. And you can also modify this spawning box here if you want to. But once you adjust the size of the object over here, then that's no longer going to be able to change with that spawning box. So that's kind of there. A couple other quick ways to look at adding objects. There's a lot of ways to add scenery. So you can add scenery by dragging out something like this and then adjusting the height. And then from here, you can easily replace these objects by hitting this replace button. The replace button will always just take you to the category of the similar object that it is. So in this case, these are scenery tiles made by Atomic. So it's going to take me there. And then all I need to do is drag in a new one. So I can replace it with something like this one or this one. So this is really handy if you want to iterate really quickly with something like this. And then from here, we'll take a quick look at adding some lighting to this as well. So I'll put this in the back, maybe move this stage up a little bit here, and we'll add some drape to the back so there's something back there. And then we're going to add some lighting really quickly. Just take a quick look at that. So I might drag it along here, and then I can place it again in the back. You can take a better look at it from the top camera view. And from here, you can adjust things like the size of the array and how many lights are there. And then I might want to adjust the height of this as well. So you can do the same thing with the lighting. I'll just drag that out for a stage wash, and then I will center that, make it span a little bit smaller, rotate. So that's kind of how you can add different types of objects. And then there's some additional things that we'll look at as well for importing objects. And over here on the right side on the control panel, you'll always have more settings. And the settings just change depending on what type of object you're using. You can also see more in-depth looks at all of this stuff on the walkthrough tutorials that we have. So go ahead and look at that as well. Okay, now we'll look at importing options, what you can import and also create for 3D models. So I'm going to go to the Add Objects section up here, and then down all the way at the bottom, there's a Custom tab. The first little button here is to upload your own 3D models if you have any models. If you click the button, it will ask you about the file format. So it tells you that there's an FBX file format and version that you'll probably need to use, as well as some more information about it. If that's all good, then you hit yes, load files. If not, you can use, there are different converting websites out there that will convert your models to FBX files, which works pretty well as well. Once your model is loaded in, you can also add an image to it so that it has a little thumbnail like this. So if I now click on this model, it shows up like this. Some are not in the correct orientation, so you might just need to rotate them. So in this case, I think it needs to go -90. And if I put it on the stage here, I can see it's way too big. So if I have the specs from this specific vendor, which I don't offhand right now, then I can scale it to the correct size. So it's probably around 2.5 feet wide. So we'll call it that. I'll zoom into it here. Just move it down a little bit. And from there, then I can select the different material, or the different materials on the object. So if I select this one, I can then actually change the texture that's put on there by adding an image to that. I don't know that I have the correct texture. This is like a wood one. So you can do that, or you can select the material and then change the color if you wanted to do that as well. From there, let me adjust this lighting just a tad so we can see it a little better. I can now copy it and add more, just like this. And from there, I might add some people to it. Okay, now we'll look at the next thing, which is the Create button here. The Create button allows you to create your own 3D model. You can import or add an image. It could be a JPEG or a PNG image of most anything, really. Smaller objects kind of work better, so it might not do well with a large venue model and creating a 3D model of a venue or something like that, but you can give it a try. But what you do is you add your image there. So once you've added your image or added a prompt of what to create, the preview of the image will show up right here. So in this case, it's just a medical device that we're going to create a 3D model of. Once you hit the Create button, a little pop-up window will show up right here, and it'll give you an estimated time. These, depending on the complexity of the 3D model, it seems that these can take anywhere from about 2 minutes to up to 8 minutes or so if the complexity is kind of high. Once the 3D model is finished, it will show up in your library right here, and you can just click on it once, and it'll show up right there in the middle. From there, you can move it around, rotate it, and adjust it as needed. So I'm going to put it right up here on the stage, and I can rotate it this way maybe. And now we have this object in the scene and ready to be used. Cool. And then anytime you log in, your saved 3D models will be right here for you to use next time. All right, so now we'll look at exporting and some ways that we can get some material out of our creation. You can do a few different things. So you could first go up to Render and create a 4K rendering or an HD rendering. These take anywhere from 10 to 30 seconds with the 4K option, which gives you a link that can be sent to anyone, as well as a download option. And the same thing for the HD version. It just takes it's just a little bit faster. And then for creating videos, you can go to the View section here, and you can create different camera views. So in this case, let's delete a couple of these saved camera views. So what you're going to do is just go to any camera view that you want to create. So let's say I want to create a camera view here. I'm just going to hit Save Preset. And then maybe I want to go to the center here, Save Preset. And then the right side here, save another preset. And I can rename these by right-clicking and renaming them if you want. And now once I've done that, I can hit this Animate button. And what that'll do is it will create a camera animation around those camera views that I just created. From there, we're working on an export so that you can download the video file for this. But right now we don't have that fully fleshed out. So in the meantime, if you want to, you can create a screen recording of this, which works pretty well. And then in addition to that, you have some options to adjust or add some haze. So this works well when you have moving light fixtures and things like that can look really well with haze. You can also play with the contrast option and the grid option if you want to have some effects there as well. And then lastly, we have a video option. This option, if you click the render image button, what it allows you to do is create a rendering of your current scene. So I'm going to hit create rendering here. So this will create a rendering of this space. I think it works sometimes better when you're going from the front view, but we can try and see what this does. Then I'm going to find my rendering from over here and add that image that I just created to here. And from here I can type in kind of anything to create a video from there, or I can use one of these template prompts. So I could say add a presenter speaking on the stage, add movement to the lighting and haze. Maybe I'll try this one and see what happens with this. So I'm going to create short video, and we're just going to get a little generated video option right up here. Okay, and once the video is done, it will show up right here. It's a short video up to 7 or 8 seconds. And I asked it to add some light movement to it, but it looks like there were no moving lights in the scene already, so it just kind of added some. So we'll see what it did here. So it added some lighting to the back and then moved it around like that. So this is another way to create a video, and then from there you can store the video in the cloud as well as local, and you can also download or send a link of that video to anyone that you want. All right, so now we're going to look at how to create 2D floor plans and diagrams. So back in the scene here, I'm going to go to the top camera view. You can hit the top view from here or 2 on your keyboard. And right now the room that we are using is a basic room, and I didn't add a floor plan. So I'm just going to real quick add a floor plan. And to do that, if it doesn't already have a floor plan, you'll just want to redo the room here. So you can do it really quickly and keep the same dimensions and settings. So I'm going to hit yes, and then upload an image. The image needs to be a JPEG or PNG image at the moment. All right, so here's my image. What I need to do now real quick is just draw a line at the back of the wall here. This is always going to be the width of the room, so left to right is going to be designated the width in this program. And so it says I have a distance of 125 feet, but that's not quite right with the actual room. So if I were to go online and find the actual dimensions of this room, it would be different. Actually, I'm just going to use 160 for this. And now I need to say, okay, scaled up the image to the correct size. So now I need to tell it exactly what the full dimensions are. So I believe it's about 160 by 120. That'll be good enough for our purpose here. So it moved the room to kind of center the room along our red guidelines here. And so what we can do, I can move the room or I can move everything. I think in this example, I'm just going to move the room down a little bit with the slider. Okay, and then from here, I can kind of modify everything or start adding measurements and labels and things like that if I want to. I'll show you, I guess I'll show first how to add some measurements. So there's a couple ways to do it. If I want to add measurements really quickly, for some things that are like horizontally placed like this, I can just click on the object. So for instance, this truss right here, I can just go here and click measure, and it's going to tell me, okay, this is 40 feet. And then I can click on that arrow and move it back a little if I want. I can also click on this little blue dot right here and type in a different measurement. So I could say 50 and it'll change the measurement if I want to. We'll just go ahead and move that back. And if I wanted to, let's do that for maybe a couple other things like this. If I wanted to draw, I think it's for this, it's only going to do the horizontal measurement. So I need a measurement to go show me the depth of it as well. So I'm just going to click markup here and then ruler. And by default, it's on snap to grid, but we can also snap to object. So I'm just going to drag up here. And sometimes it does not get it on the first try, but there we go. I'm just going to move this. Okay, so now we have 16 feet by 36 feet. And we could also add a label to say the height of it. So I could say this is 36 by 16 by 2 feet high. Something like that. This is just kind of quick and right there. So you can label kind of anything. You can write whatever you want there. You could label the room. And then let's say we want to just show really quickly some measurements from the wall to the drape. So we'll say that's 5 feet from there. And the stage is 62 feet from the sidewall. I'll make that straight. It snaps to every 6 inches, I believe. So to make a straight line, you just want to try to get it as straight as possible, but it will snap every 6 inches diagonally. So it's not too difficult to get that. Okay, so now I've got some measurements there. I could maybe make another label for the seating. If I click on this seating, it tells me how many objects are up here at the top. So it says there's 33 objects selected. So I might say I want another label here, and I'm going to say we have, what was that, 33? 33 banquet rounds of 5 seats. And then you could say the size of the tables as well if you wanted. Okay, you could do a good amount more with this as well. You could add plenty more measurements and everything and more labels. But once you get kind of to the place that you want, what you can do is you can make another camera preset. So I could say, okay, I want the camera to kind of be about right here so that it captures everything in the screen. So I'm going to save that. And I'll call this floor plan view or something. So now if I go back, I can just go right to it. And from here, I can now change the look of it if I wanted to. So I could print out or export this just as it looks right here, or I could change this, the color of it as well. So I could say, okay, maybe I want it to look a little bit more like a blueprint so I can see things a little better. Maybe I want to do a black and white image, or I want to see the base colors. And one other quick tip that you can do as well is if you have a floor plan on the bottom, you can make that brighter or less bright by going into the room section here and the floor plan button here. And you can change the floor plan as well at any time if you wanted. I just then would click this button, but wouldn't necessarily recommend doing that because it will replace it. But from here, I can change the intensity of that floor plan. So I could say, I want it to be darker, or I want it to be much brighter. So you can adjust it to exactly the way you want to. So maybe like this, and maybe I'll go back here to see a different view, and then back to here. And I'll say, okay, maybe I want it to look something like this, so I can kind of see all of the black and white lines here. And once you're kind of satisfied with that, let's go to our camera view. Then we're going to go render, and we can say render measurements here. And once the rendering gets completed, you'll get a link to it as well as a download so that you can send it as a link or as a download.
Customization is key. Edit existing objects, change materials, or import your own 3D models. Export high-quality videos, renderings, and event plans to share with clients and teams. RenderNow's powerful tools streamline your workflow. Spend less time on tedious tasks and more time on what matters, creating unforgettable events. Transform your event planning process with RenderNow. Schedule a demo or start a free trial today. RenderNow, where your vision becomes reality.